Why refueling was banned in F1. Once upon a time, it was a nice thing to see the pit crew dancing around the Formula One Challenger when they were busy for both pitting and refueling. Before 2010, Formula One cars were allowed to take new tyres as well as to refuel the Challengers during a pit stop. So teams used to employ unique techniques to make the refueling process as well as tyre change faster, safer, and more effective. However, at the end of a long-term discussion regarding the cost and safety associated with the refueling process, FIA finally decided to ban the refueling process at the end of the 2009 season. So, this video is dedicated to discuss more deeply the reason behind the banning of the refueling process. Guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Before diving deep into the video, remember to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for more interesting Formula One videos. Juan Manuel Fangio made a pit stop during the 1957 German Grand Prix for new tyres and fuel. But it didn't flow well according to the plan, and that strategy was subjected to heavy criticism, as Fangio had the opportunity to win that race easily without that pit stop. Then, for the next 25 years, none of the team wanted to try that strategy again. Refueling was introduced to the sport for a second time during the 1982 Austrian Grand Prix by the Brabham team, which used gas-thirsty turbocharged engines from BMW. These engines consumed a large volume of gas during a race, and they had to go for the race with the extra stress of fuel management, which resulted to cause a considerable reduction of their performances. Chief designer of Brabham team Gordon Murray made a calculation and found that starting with half volume of fuel and going for a pit stop with refueling would give an advantage for them over the regular procedure. This was a great solution for the Brabham team, which was suffering from the gas-thirsty engines. This approach appeared to be more successful, and many teams started following them in the next season. Then FIA decided to ban it in 1984, introducing some strict regulations on fuel usage. This was the first time that refueling was officially banned in Formula One. Anyhow, Formula One went through a number of changes within the next 10 years, and teams tried to build engines that can generate massive power. However, engineers faced extreme limitations regarding fuel usage, as the large fuel load directly affected the overall speed of the Challenger. So, FIA changed its stance regarding the refueling process and allowed teams to do so. Then this became part of the strategic plans of the teams and engineers, used to create an advantage for their drivers over rivals. So refueling became a key part of the game, till the end of the 2009 season. As we mentioned in the intro, refueling was mainly banned with two main objectives. One was the safety concerns, as there is a higher possibility for pit lane accidents while refueling at an extremely high speed. The other one was cost reduction. The most critical issue associated with refueling was the safety. When the highly flammable fuel is injected into the fuel tank under pressure, there is a considerable chance of causing a fire during a leak or spillage of the fuel. In such a situation, both driver and pit crew members came under the risk of being subjected to a serious fire hazard. Formula One experienced a similar kind of situation in the 1994 German Grand Prix. Jos Verstappen, who was driving for the Benetton team in that year, entered the pit lane for refueling. When crew members started to refuel his car, a leakage was observed from the refueling nozzle onto his car. It only took a few seconds to engulf the entire Benetton pit area with massive flames. However, Jos Verstappen and crew members were lucky to escape from the car unharmed. This incident happened in the same year that the ban on refueling was lifted, and this resulted in opening a long-term discussion on safety issues associated with the refueling process. One more incident was recorded during the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix due to a malfunction of the refueling rig of the Ferrari team. It was attached to the car of Felipe Massa when he left the pit. So the hose was violently detached from the refueling rig, and fuel was spilt all over the hot surface of the car, as well as the pit lane. Marshals, as well as Ferrari crew members, acted very quickly to control the issue without it turning into an active fire. Even though it was a single incident, the impact of that scenario was sufficient enough to highlight the inherent risks associated with the refueling process in Formula One. Normally, F1 cars generate a considerable amount of static electricity when it moves through the air at high speed. So a small vapor during the refueling process is sufficient enough to cause a fire or an explosion. On the other hand, it's not an easy thing for an F1 driver to escape from his cockpit in such an emergency, adding an unwanted layer of risk to the driver. After analyzing each of these factors, FIA finally agreed to ban the refueling process. This refueling process is not something similar to what we normally observe at a regular gas station, as a millisecond is a very important matter in an extremely fast sport like F1. A specially designed refueling rig was used in Formula 1, and fuel was pressurized and cooled up to the temperature of around 10 degrees centigrade to pump it as quickly as much as possible to the fuel tank of the car. Under these special conditions, refueling was carried out with an average flow rate of around 1.2 liters per second. It was a costly process to store fuel in such special environments, and teams had to deal with an extra burden on their budgets with this reason. So teams had to bear an extra expense of transporting these items as well. Apart from that, teams needed a much larger pit crew to handle the refueling process, and they needed special safety equipment to deal with the possible emergency conditions. It was mandatory for all the pit crew members, including refuel rig handlers, to wear fire-resistant clothes made up of nomex. For the members who were responsible for handling the refueling process, it was essential to wear specially designed helmets, which are composed with separated breathing air supply. In addition, each team should include an assistant with a suitable fire extinguisher, as there was a high possibility of causing fire during this high-speed refueling process. In summary, this ban on refueling has curtailed the equipment cost, personnel cost, logistic cost, and risk management cost associated with the refueling process. When refueling was banned for a second time in 2010, all the teams had to start with an extra load of fuel, which was roughly equal to a mass of 150 to 170 kilograms. When the refueling was allowed, drivers had the opportunity of starting the race with a fuel load of 50 to 60 kilograms, which made the car lighter and faster. This fuel load affects not only the speed of the car, but also of the tire life, as more load starts to act on the tires. After introducing these new regulations related to the fuel ban in 2010, the minimum weight limit of cars was increased up to 605 to 620 kilograms. And this opened up a few other additional problems as well. In order to complete a race without running out of fuel, teams needed a much larger fuel tank, and it added a significant change to the body design of F1 challenges. So FIA has to raise the length of the car by 22 centimeters ahead of the 2010 season to accommodate a much larger fuel tank. Even though FIA introduced this rule with the aim of improving the safety of the sport, the majority of F1 drivers still prefer to go with the refueling process. That's why a number of parties suggested reintroducing the refueling process to the sport in 2017. But the decision ended without reaching that idea to the aspired destination. In the year 2021 also, there was another effort to lift the refueling ban. However, it was again unsuccessful, as there was a split idea between the parties involved in that discussion. So what do you guys think about the ban on refueling? Share your thoughts in the comments section below.